Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, if y'all cannot hear me, that is my heater in the back. I made them turn off my heater because it's like a centralized heat and they turn it really, really high. And you don't have any control over the heat where I live. So I much rather have control over the heat, and so obviously I went out and ensured that I had a couple space heaters, which I've already had, but I would rather use those just because I'm used to using those. Even when I was with my roommate and we were in a house and the heat was we were able to control the heat. My room was sitting on a side where my room was always cold, like no matter what was going on. And so I would use a heater to generate the heat in my room. And again, because I'm cold a lot easier than the average person, and I just assume it's the average person. I don't really know. I just know I get cold very easily. Space heaters work great for me, right? I'm just used to using them. I have one in my office. And until I guess once I get my house, then I will, and or a space that I can control the heat, then obviously I may not need to use a space heater. But for now, that's kind of what I've been using. So if you guys hear it in the background, just please ignore. Hopefully, I'm speaking a little louder than the heater, so you guys can't hear the heater as much, but you hear me, right? If there are any issues, let me know down in the comments below. I can turn it off or go to a different room. It's fine. But I wanted to talk about Trump really fast. Again, this is going to be a very brief video simply because the agenda hasn't changed, right? So we don't need to go in. I'm not like, I don't like repeating myself. So I'm going to do my best to, talk about this situation with the understanding that what I've already stated prior in several videos, and it sucks because I need to get to a point where I'm combining all my videos and I just haven't done it yet. But all of my videos, when it comes to Trump, my thought process pretty much remains the same, right? It's just, I was watching the New York, what they were talking about. It was a little news clip. And then I started going in further to kind of figure out, okay, what's really going on. But this whole news clip about Trump speaking when he wasn't supposed to speak in his civil fraud case or whatever. So I was watching those clips. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, if I'm not, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I've been on the other side of things. I know what that shit feels like, right? And it's unfortunate that this man is being attacked from so many different angles. Like when I saw that, you guys, I was like, and maybe that was a case that I just never got into all the cases because in my mind, it was obvious that things were going to come his way. I don't know what the purpose of all this is. I know people are saying, hey, look, this is a main means to, tear down Trump, and this shows that Trump is such a good president and yada yada yada. I would say that it shows that he's very much hated in terms of what hate actually means. And when black people say hated, I mean hated on, right? Meaning that folks are going out of their way to bring these cases about against Trump. They're going out of their way to make it more difficult for Trump. And I could not help when they said civil fraud in New York. I was like, oh, shoot. Like, in my opinion, the things that they're coming after him for, they had to been looking at for quite some time. Like real talk. You're not just gonna like, that's why I would love to see And again, maybe I need to go back. Like, I don't have the time for this, but maybe I do need to go back and see what Trump presented in court. Because let me be clear, allegations made against you, right? You can deny them, right? But that's not going to change the fact that the allegations were brought forth. So I don't know. There's got to be a level of proof, which the burden of proof, I don't know what it is in this situation. It may be on the person that started the suit, right? To prove that this man did X, Y, and Z. However, I cannot believe, but I could be wrong, that the attorney, his attorney, hasn't shown that, hey, this is not true, like on paper, right? Because vocalizing it versus materializing it are two different things. And then you've got to materialize the evidence at such a degree that I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the ins and outs. I did not watch this case. So I don't know what was presented, okay? Um I do know, being in this field, right? And in this industry, that people do what they're accusing Trump of all the time. Does it make it accurate? Does it make it correct? No. Those people are still very much liable for the numbers that they give. I mean, obviously, when you fill out an application, you're signing the perjury disclaimer or whatever, that you're telling the absolute truth. So even if you're fudging your income just to be able to get food stamps, well, I mean, technically, you're doing exactly what Trump is being accused of. Trump is just being accused of this at a much higher level. I think, because, in my opinion, I don't want to say that what he's being accused of is not illegal. It is illegal, but it's petty. It's like I don't know how to explain it. I just know that you would have had to do some digging to really know if these numbers were in full alignment with what he had going on and vice versa. And the digging should have been done from the beginning, right? Because let's be clear, if it was the average everyday blow schmo, black woman, black man, they would have done their digging. So the idea that now all of a sudden we're going to come out with this information that Trump's been fudging the numbers, inflating numbers. First of all, I know tons of people who do this even to get benefits from the government, right? Right? However, and I'm not saying it's okay, because in my field it's not okay. Like, that is a legitimate, I mean, it is a crime. But it's one of those that, like I said, because so many people do it at so many different levels of life, right? In my opinion, it can be seen as petty, like a petty reason to go after someone and or to keep them from doing something that they want to do. Right? So it's like, now all of a sudden, because you're not doing what we want you to do, we're going to hit you with this, even though we've probably known about this for quite some time, right? Because, in my personal opinion, you don't do business with the person for that long and not know his actual numbers. And if you are doing that business with someone, like if they are going to come out and say that, hey, he committed what was it, fraud or whatever, wouldn't that come back on the accountants? Wouldn't that come back on everybody who was able to push those deals through, including, I would assume, the mayor at that time? Like, because Trump is not a small fish. He's not a small business owner, regardless of what people like to say about how much debt he's in. I've said this time and time again, I am learning that debt can work for you, believe it or not. So this idea that Trump wasn't smart and he was just dumb business owner, like, everybody knew who Trump was much prior to his election. So I'm very confused as to where the accountability really lies. Like, okay, so Trump fudged some numbers, right? But it wasn't Trump preparing his own profit and loss statements. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's not Trump preparing his own financial statements, right? So wouldn't the accountants be held? And it's sad because, we're playing for the same field, right? I don't want to put nobody in my industry under the bus, but wouldn't they be held accountable? Wouldn't the lenders, the people who gave him the spaces to do what he does, like, wouldn't all of these people be involved? I guess I'm confused. Like, it's not like Trump said, okay, I want to buy this building, so give it to me. And there's nobody there for checks and balances. There's always someone involved, especially when you're dealing with money of that magnitude. There is always somebody involved that has the ability to say yay or nay, right? I thought so. So I'm very confused, you guys. If you ask me, I'm pretty confused as to, I'm not confused. Let's put it this way. What they're accusing him of is a crime. However, it feels as though he has been being hit from any angle, every angle. And since they can't get him from the main angle, they want to find everything possible that they can utilize against this man to try to silence him, get him to go away. And you guys have to understand, we are in the era of the Democratic Party, right? So obviously it's Democratic against Trump. I mean, obviously, like, that's not like a question. It's the Democratic Party against Trump. One man. This is why you're seeing these things take place. The Democratic Party, they are known for their Karens. They are known for their personality types. And as a result of, right, we see Trump being hit from every angle that a Karen would hit him from. Okay. So let's be clear. It aligns with the Biden administration. Everything that you see happening with Trump aligns with the personality type of this administration. It's not a surprise, right? So all of this, oh my God, they're trying to get Trump, of course, right? Because it's personal. It's been made personal, right? That's what you guys have to understand. This is no longer like the average like debate that you should see between politicians. This is a real, like, I'm taking it personal. And it's a means to take away and or distract people from what's actually been going on with Biden and his son, right? So understand this. Of course, they're going to come for Trump by any means necessary. That's what y'all have to understand. And this is why I believe that there will not. And I don't know that I don't know, because in this day and age, I really don't know what I'm seeing anymore. I don't even know if what I see is real. So despite Trump playing and being in that role of being hated on, right? Nobody knows what, like, we don't, like, I'm telling you, they just came out with them 10 feet tall, 8 feet tall aliens, okay? With the three, that shit was creepy as fuck, but it's crazy, okay? Some things I just feel like none of us really know what's happening right now. And while it appears to be one way, which is Trump being hated on by the liberal party, I feel as though there's more to this, and I've said this from the jump, than we understand. And I do believe that all of what they're doing right now, all of this is going to continue up until the last minute. And then they're going to drop the bomb on some folks. I mean, if Trump becomes president, cool. But I believe that prophecy stated we only had one opportunity. maybe Trump gets in and things will change. But I know people are saying, well, let me tell you guys something. I don't know, because I don't know it clear off the top of my head, but I do recall prophecy stating that we only had so many times to get this shit right. Right. And when Trump, you had him in office telling black folks, hey, vote for me. This is maybe your last opportunity. Trump is running, but that may have been very much our last opportunity. This is why you have people like Chris Tucker. Why do I keep saying Chris Tucker? What's Tucker? Tucker. Y'all, Tucker Carlson. You got folks like him talking about we don't know if there will be an election. He don't know if there will be an election. I don't know if there's going to be another election. This is why I hope and I pray that people are not so emotionally charged and wrapped up in this election, no matter how much we need the election to tilt in the opposite direction, right? Than what it currently is. Because the way things are looking, and again, I could be totally wrong, but this is my opinion. They are putting so much effort, so much energy, so much time into Trump at a time where the masses of people are saying, you know what? We got Trump's back. We want to vote for Trump. Fuck everybody else. We're voting for Trump. Right? At a time where the Democratic Party is actually kind of losing. That's why they're bringing all these people in here, right? In hopes that they'll be able to vote on their behalf. How can I say this? I feel like a lot of this is being done. All of the politics, all of these states jumping in, trying to get Trump off the ballot. I'm so proud of some of these Supreme Courts, man. I'm trying to tell you now, they're like, hell no, because that's a citizen right. Like, I don't understand how Obama could have been president, but not a Trump. Right? Obama, I mean, maybe he was a US citizen. Maybe that's how they're getting in, is after they change where they're from. Well, because his mom was from the United States, right? And the dad was from Africa, and he lived, was it Indonesia or something? I don't know. I know that Obama is not a United States citizen. So it makes me wonder, or maybe again, he was not at one point, because these immigrants are coming here and then they're able to say, well, I'm a US citizen. At that point, I would assume that by law, by what's written, unless it states that you need to be a born US citizen, they're technically allowed to run for office, right? I mean, I thought that was against the rules. That was just me personally, but I think the way it's written, it's not clear. It only, I could be wrong, but that's how it's seeming. That's why you've got all these immigrants in fucking office, and you're like, well, how the fuck? And it was cool when it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. That motherfucker opened the door for all of these other people to come into play. And in my thought process, I thought that you had to be like from the US, like to run for office. Apparently, that's not the case. So, I mean, in my opinion, it is un-American like to tell somebody that they can't run for office, especially a former president. And this whole argument about immunity, let me tell you guys something on that. If a fucking family law person has immunity when they're making decisions about fucking people's lives and children and shit, why wouldn't the president have immunity? If a judge has immunity and you cannot hold a judge accountable for their shit, why the fuck wouldn't a president be immune? And if he's not immune, and I'm not for this immunity bullshit, I'm just making a point here. If he's not immune, then the judges need to not be immune. Immunity should be taken away from all these folks. That would change the scope of the game, right? Because then I could sue. Then folks could sue for things that are being done wrong in the legal system and in the justice system. I'm actually 1000% for that. So if we're going to say that Trump, as the president of the United States, did not have immunity, then neither does that fucking judge that's able to make those kinds of decisions for the people on the Democratic behalf. Because I don't know what people are supporting this shit at this point in time. I would think that that means no more immunity for Clinton, for Obama, for the attorneys all across the nation, for the judges all across the nation, for Hunter and Biden. Like, I would assume that that immunity nonsense carries across the board. And so that judge, even though that judge may have a personal, and I don't want to say that they do, but the argument of immunity, in my personal opinion, and the judge, this is how you guys got to understand. Judge has to appear impartial until they're not, until they make their ruling, and then their ruling states what they state for them, right? So the judge asking the question of immunity and arguing the conversation of immunity does not necessarily mean that that's what the judge thinks, right? So the judge could be playing devil's advocate and not really for the sake of anything else but to help everybody understand the train of thought behind that. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I have come to learn. Judges will make statements, they will argue statements, and it doesn't always necessarily align with the outcome of the situation, because their outcome is, it's supposed to be in alignment with the actual law, not with, you know, people's opinions, right? But how about you tell me your opinion? How about you recite some laws that demonstrate? And that's, I don't know what the attorney was doing with the immunity, because you are supposed to be able to recite laws that show that you have immunity and that are in clear form, right? Again, not every judge, and what I've seen in my situation, some judges, depending on, I want to say, the nature of that claim of immunity and what's actually being said and done, some judges will not uh fully, they will allow certain information to be implemented so that they can make their decision based upon the facts, regardless of the immunity clause. Now, you can't go after them. You can't go after the person and say, well, I'm coming after you for X, Y, and Z if they're immune, but you can utilize facts to present your case if that's your argument. Like, because context matters. So you can't say, well, I'm immune from all this, right? And the other person just can't bring it up. I don't know. I could be wrong because I'm not an attorney, but from my understanding of that, is the facts still matter. So if X, Y, and Z led up to why you're suing me, and you're trying to say, well, I'm immune, so X, Y, and Z doesn't count, it kind of still does in the grand scheme of things, not in the terms of context. Does it make sense? Like, a judge can't rule without fucking context. So immunity is, it's weird to me that, like I said, I would have to go back and really look at that day and the argument that was fully made, because I don't know why a judge would be questioning the argument of immunity. I don't even know. And when I mean questioning, I'm not saying doubting, because nobody really knows unless the judge has shown bias. And if the judge is on the case, I mean, if the judge is biased and that's what they're going to go with, then they can appeal this case, right? But I would assume, my assumption, or the judge's ruling, I don't understand why the judge will be questioning that. I don't even understand why that argument would even be an argument, right? That's what I'm saying. That's why I went into all that, because the only thing I could think of is, if the judge is exercising real integrity, they're trying to gain an understanding of the train of thought pattern. Like, okay, you're arguing it from this way, they're arguing it from this way. We understand their argument, we're still trying to figure out yours. And or maybe we don't understand both, like, not that they're not, it's like what justifies, like how I'm trying to word it the way that I took it when I was in similar, what I felt was similar shoes, right? The judge was asking me questions and or asking the person who was doing the lawsuit questions that appeared to be in my favor, but may have not really been in my favor as much as the judge is just arguing the point. What every time he argued the point, it helped me to see where this needed to go. And I'm almost certain it helped the person who was suing me where they needed to go because of the argument being made, right? So the judge will argue the point so that you're able to bring forth all of the necessary evidence to be able to win that case in a way, if that makes sense. So when I say train of thought, it's not because I feel like the judge was confused, but again, we're going to argue a point to argue it. And based upon how you respond, I will either make my decision, I will adjust my decision, stuff like that. If that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense because I'm pretty sure, like, because again, the question still comes, why would a judge ask that if the judge has immunity? Like, even in the situation I was dealing with, the question was never whether or not she had immunity or not. If she did and where she did have immunity, the judge made it clear. You know what I mean? So what is the argument? What is the reasoning behind the question? And I have to assume that the judge is going to do right until the judge does not do right. So I think Trump I think Trump is under a lot of pressure, rightfully so, right? He's being hit from all angles. There's so much negative press about him right now. It's crazy. I'm sure that he doesn't get that same level of hate in real life, just propaganda wise, he does, right? So all of these lawsuits are against him, and I'm sure that he probably feels as though this judge is not in his favor. And they've been through the entire case. So I'm almost certain that if the attorney comes out and says, hey, look, the judge is not really, this ain't the judge is not really, making the best moves or the right moves, then they know how to appeal it, right? Trump doing, I know as a man, right, as a person with a backbone, right? His speech in that courtroom, or it looked outside of the courtroom to me. I could be wrong, but his speech, he is a president, he is a presidential candidate, and so he is utilizing the press as his right to speak on it. I'm not seeing why. I don't care if it went against what the court said or not. It's his right to speak. And is it really against what the court said? Because if he's outside the courtroom, the case is over, essentially. They just made their closing statements. Him saying what he's got to say to the press, I don't see how that, I feel like that's almost a blurred line. I don't know that that's him breaking the rule as much as him utilizing the tools that are available to him to speak on it. I think that we use wording so improperly. Like, we use words as a means to try to shame this man. But if my back is against the wall, I'm coming out swinging too. What did you think was going to happen? So I do not fault Trump. I don't think anything was wrong with what he did. I don't know that he said anything that was really like really, like it's Trump. It's something he's kind of always been saying. It ain't nothing new. I don't know. I think they made a bigger deal about that, bigger than they should have, right? Overall, I do believe that they are using these tactics, and obviously because the hate for the other side, for the party that's pulling these tactics, is very strong. And I really do believe that the goal, and we said this before, what is a civil war, right? I keep talking about that. I genuinely believe all of what we're seeing surrounding Trump is a means to an end. I don't believe that everything happens for no reason. I believe that this is happening like this for a reason. I believe that he has a ton of haters for a reason, right? And I don't necessarily know that that reason is what the average Republican would be thinking either. What I do know is that the goal is to create a civil war. And I'm just saying, what better way to do so than to get both sides all riled up again? And they're going to get riled up because you got all these lawsuits hanging around, and nobody knows if he's actually going to be on the ballot or allowed to run. Nobody knows this at this point because he's not necessarily been found guilty of anything, right? But he's got all these things hanging down in the balance. And he's waiting for people to make decisions, and they can literally, I mean, take as long as they so please. So we're already in January. He's got until what? August, September, what, November? I can't remember when elections, what is it, November? He's got at least, I mean, quite a few months to get this all off his record. Or at least get the verdicts in, right? But lawsuits don't move that fast, unfortunately. And you've got states saying, listen, if the decision is not made by a certain time, we take them off the ballot. So what does that say? What, like, how do you think people are going to react? If at last minute they say, nope, he's ineligible to run, and we've been running based upon him and whoever the other party is. I'm just saying, I think that's a great way. I mean, not saying to create instability. I think everything they're doing right now, only to let folks down, is a great way to cause instability. And I don't think people are going to be very nice about it this time. I think people are going to be fed up, and they're going to see that no matter what they do, they have very little power. At the same time, you've got all these quote unquote alien sightings being, man, y'all better wait. 2024 is about to be a freaking ride, man. That's all I can say. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like with Trump. I have a level of empathy and sympathy for Trump. Maybe not sympathy, but empathy. Because I know that what he's dealing with is not easy, on top of all the hate. The lawsuit is stressful enough, and it's not just that one. It's like 100. I mean, I don't want to say 100 literally. I'm exaggerating. He's got a ton of them. At the same time, he's having to run for president, give his best, do his best. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think something's fishy about it all, right? Whether he's guilty or innocent, it's fishy. I believe that all this is being done for one reason, and that is to create instability. So that's my long way of train of thought about that, y'all. I don't, let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. Like, I really believe this is a setup to something bigger. And if they can't win here, they gonna find other ways to win. Like, I don't see this party backing down at all. You're dealing with a straight carrot type of party. They're not gonna back down. They're gonna find any angle, any angle to get you. So that's my take on it, y'all. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.